It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, it's a Friday, but we got no DB today like we had previously promised. Got some stuff going on that he's got to take care of today. So no DB Friday. We'll get him back in the saddle. But how are we doing?
Doing good. Doing all right. I've had a very frustrating day, but we're getting through it.
If you watched the morning rush, Alan mentioned some difficulties that he was having there. Those have continued to persist, but we're all good on this afternoon drive. You know what? The afternoon drive is typically a time that I look at it like the audience is taking, 30-ish minutes out of their day to clear their head and just turn it off and just listen to us talk about football. Let's just do the same for you. Forget about the computer stuff for about a half hour, and let's just talk about football and answer some questions.
There we go. That sounds good.
All right, let's start with the YouTube community here. I feel like it's been a while since we've really had like just a fully driven question day. Honestly, first things first, let's start with something that doesn't necessarily have to do with this team right now, but that wall behind you that's built of credentials that a lot of people, just admire. Jose wants to know, what is the oldest credential badge that you got on the background there?
I got to do something for Randy Tobias here too while we're at it. So Randy's been bothered by this
and
guy.
Honestly, me now, because I didn't notice this before. But
so this is from the Senior Bowl this year. It's the craziest credential I've ever gotten. I don't know why they decided that they needed to have whole. It's the Swiss cheese of.
Yeah, kind of. It does. I'm given Polar Express train vibes.
Flash a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Believe. Here's another. This is another older Senior Bowl right there. So maybe we'll put it somewhere where it won't flash so much. I don't know. Move it here. Down low. All right. And the oldest one way up here. Now I looked. I didn't. Oh, man. These are hard to get out. So I didn't start saving these like the day I started doing this job. Uh-huh. So the oldest one I have, as far as I can tell, is 2014-15 Robert Morris credential right there. That's, as far as I can tell, that's the oldest one I have.
Does it say what specific, or does it just say Robert Morris All Access? It doesn't.
So this was definitely for Robert Morris hockey because that's all I was covering then. But I'm pretty sure this could have got you into anything Colonials for the 14-15 school year. So, like I said, not from like the first day I had this job, but that's the oldest one I've got that's in this current display.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, Jose. Also, he had to throw a comment in there. Been a lot of talk about the running game. He said, keep up the good work. Think the running game will improve, but as you said, may take half the season. Regards. So he wanted to know about the credential, but had to throw his thought in there about the running game. So we appreciate that for sure. Matt, I don't know what you
speaking of the credentials, I got a Jacksonville one I got to put up here somewhere.
Maybe this is the technical difficulty stuff that we were talking about, because Matt said no apology needed. I'm assuming you apologized on there regarding the technical difficulties we were having, but he said, question, narrative the last few years, the Steelers want a mobile quarterback. Arthur Smith uses a mobile quarterback in his offense. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is not that. What offensive plays are going to replace the QB mobility plays?
I mean, I don't think that Arthur Smith's offense needs quarterback mobility. It was at its best when it had Ryan Tannehill. He's mobile enough, but he's not somebody that you really want running the ball a whole ton. I think Mike Tomlin wants quarterback mobility because he sees what it does to his defense and understands how much of an existential threat it is for his defense, and so he likes having it. But I don't think Arthur Smith's scheme needs quarterback mobility, and I don't think it will be any stretch for Arthur Smith to have a scheme with a quarterback without one. Now, they will have to come up with, and I think this is one of the most significant unanswered questions remaining about this team, what replaces all the short yardage Justin Fields plays from last year? Because that was pretty good for them. And the thing that you would have thought they leaned on second most last year would have been probably running the ball with Najee Harris. They don't have either of those. So how do they have success in short yardage? I think is something we have not seen yet, really. And so I'm interested to see whether that's something they're able to come up with or if that's going to be an area of weakness this year. But I don't think they need to be calling quarterback power. Like, I think Art's just fine without it.
Boy, oh boy, do I have a great answer for you in short yardage situations. No, I've already talked about it on here. No, honestly, I would say joking.
No.
But...
So I happened to be talking to Alfredo Roberts earlier this training camp. Had a little sit down, me and him. And I happened to bring up your little idea there.
Yeah.
Your little well, go ahead, give the audience the whole, because maybe not everybody's heard every episode.
Yeah, so we were having a conversation. This was literally right after the NFL owners meetings when like the tush push conversation was a whole thing, and it honestly came up like, how would the Steelers even go about trying to implement something similar if they wanted to try to do that? And my idea was for Darnell Washington to go under center and replace that quarterback, be the Jalen Hurts for them in those short yardage situations. Because to your point, right now, who is that goal line short yardage guy? And I don't know, it just seems like it'd be a lot of fun to at least experiment with Darnell Washington being that guy, because other teams like Trey McBride has been that guy a couple times for Arizona. Cincinnati was using Tanner Hudson. Like, there's other teams that have used a tight end in that role. Those are just to name two because I literally watched them happen. But yeah, that was my idea.
So yeah, Alfredo said not as crazy as you might think. Was his response to me throwing that out there. So
now, like, I'm wondering specifically him or just the idea of somebody in that room.
Honestly, thinking about it, I'd much more rather have Darnell pushing or blocking than running. But like Jonnu Smith, I mean, he runs with the ball. Do we see that 04? Are we going to see a 14 personnel? One wide receiver, 4 tight ends, no quarterback. Jonnu is a wildcat.
They can do a lot of very weird things with the roster that they've constructed, specifically in the offense. I mean, defense side too, but I don't know. Like,
we talked a lot about that this morning and how, like, I think you kind of have to pause on trying too hard to evaluate the Steelers' offense until you see teams sort of treating it as it actually is, because it's going to be difficult and confusing to scheme against.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what they have going on.
My, 2 cents here on what Matt had to say about the quarterback mobility thing is, let's say that Arthur's preference were to be a guy, and to your point, like, his best offense didn't have necessarily that super athlete. It was a guy that could, make plays with his legs if he had to and extend plays. But it's not like it was a Justin Fields type of player that he had his best offenses with. I think Arthur would much rather have the trade-off in terms of what his offense is able to be opened up to in the middle of the field, in other areas of the field with this quarterback, as opposed to what it was with some of those other guys that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is when outside of the second wide receiver, this is the talent that Arthur Smith wants. Like, this is what he wants to work with. There are not a lot of excuses for Arthur Smith outside of that one wide receiver spot if things don't go well. Like, I mean, I feel like to an unprecedented level, they've sort of bent over backwards to get Arthur Smith what he wants here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and again, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I know a lot of people were not happy at the end of last year with the way things went, but again, prior to that 5-game losing streak to end the season, I'm not trying to take that away and brush that aside. This was the number 11 scoring offense in the NFL. Would you have thought that, looking at this team on paper, that that's where they should have been? I don't think so. I think that they overachieved largely on the offensive side of the ball, and then finished 16th, obviously, after that stretch. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any qualms with Arthur. I think the biggest question, honestly, I know that we keep going back to it, is the development of the next guy at that quarterback position. I think that's going to be the big question for him as well, assuming that he's still in tow and doesn't get a head coaching opportunity elsewhere. But anyways, Lathan Miller here said, question about Keanu Benton. Haven't heard much of him throughout camp. Just wondering what your assessment is, if he played, how he played in the preseason game, or if we need to be worried about Harmon and Black both getting more reps over him when push comes to shove.
Certainly not Black. Benton's been there's a large drop off in playing time before, and I feel like people have this misconception. It has gone, well, Cam hasn't been playing at all, basically, but then Benton, Harmon, Loudermilk, Ekwale, Black. Like, I think people are talking about Wyatt Black like he's a starter. He's like the last guy in the rotation right now. And that's fine. He's a 5th round pick. Like, that's right where it belongs. But Benton's been quiet, I would say. I haven't noticed him a ton, but I think he's had a pretty good camp in terms of, like, it's really hard on interior defensive linemen, like, because you can't hit the quarterback. You also can't push your guy into the quarterback. So, like, half the time they're just like, yeah, I stop, I give up. That's why you see, like, a lot of those guys just trying to bat down a million passes, because it's kind of all they can do.
Which is what Black has done, which is why I feel like he's the one that's getting talked about despite where he is in the pecking order still.
Yeah, that's true. And probably he's better than that at that than anybody besides Cam Hayward that I've seen. But, we're not really going to know much about Keanu until you get the live reps. I didn't think Tampa ran the ball against the Steelers all that well. So I think that, when you're talking about the job of a nose tackle, that's first and foremost.
Sure. Kerry kind of wants to know about some knowledge about how injury designations work and how those affect contracts and rights to players. Just looking at guys like that go on IR and stuff before the season starts.
Yeah, so the two that you don't have to worry about for the Steelers this year, the non-football injury list and the PUP list, they go hand in hand. Right now, players that are on the NFI and the PUP list, they're just around, basically. That they're taking a spot on the 90-man roster. As long as they come off those before the start of the season, no harm, no foul. If they stay on there, they have to stay on for, I believe they cut it down to, it's still 6 weeks for the NFI and the PUP list. And those are for players who cannot pass their initial physical for the start of practices. NFI is for stuff that happened outside of football. PUP list is for stuff that happened inside of football. So, like a guy like Chris Godwin hurt his ankle last year. He's on the PUP list. NFI was Isaac Seumalo, hurt himself training, whatever, over this offseason, was on the NFI, and then got off it. As far as IR, you can put 2 players on IR before cuts and designate them to return. The Steelers did that last year with Dylan Cook and Logan Lee. Put them on IR to return before the cutdown date. It happens at the same time. It just means that, like, they don't have to go on the 53 and then move to the IR. As the team is cutting from 90 to 53, really they're cutting from 90 to 53 plus 2, because those 2 guys on IR return, they just go straight there. If they want to put more guys on IR return at the beginning of the season, they have to make the 53 and then put them on IR, and then they can replace them on. So you used to see this a lot where, like, some veteran guys would get cut in the last cut down because veterans don't have to go through waivers, and then they would just get signed back a couple days later because the team needed some fungibility in the roster spot. So, like, a veteran player on a 1-year deal who doesn't have to go through waivers, it's not going to hurt his paycheck at all to be cut by the team and re-signed by the team 2 days later. It doesn't matter. So he's like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then they can. So let's say they have Calvin Anderson, Corey Trice, Calvin Austin, all 3 of them. They want to put on IR return. 2 of those guys could go right away. The other would have to be on the initial 53, and then the next day could get put on IR designated to return. Anyone else outside of those first 2 guys who goes on IR before the cutdown day is out for the season, or at least out for the Steelers season. They can be released from the injured reserve with a injury settlement, but then they need the length of time of that injury settlement plus another 6 weeks before they come back to the Steelers. Basically means they're not going to play for the Steelers again this year. So like a guy like who was waived, who was injury settlemented already. Jeremiah Moon was put on IR, was waived with injury designation, IR, injury settlement, gone, done. Won't play for the Steelers this year unless they re-sign him after the waiting period after his injury settlement expires. I think that's pretty much it. Was there another part of that question?
No. That was pretty the other. By the way, Kerry, I apologize for asking Alan this now and not doing it on a morning rush. But I promise you that there was no prep done. I asked him that. Tell him I was going to bring that up. So don't worry about it. There you go, Kerry. I like this one from Justin because it's kind of looking at where things are right now as opposed to a year ago for this specific aspect. We've talked a lot about the running game. He said that it feels like the running game has started slow over the last 2 to 3 years. Do you feel like the running game is behind where they were at this exact time last year, though, about the same or ahead of where they were?
Honestly, I feel like the running game might be a little bit behind where they were a year ago. Right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But way ahead in the past.
What's the biggest in your mind? What's the biggest reason that that's the case? Like, what can you attribute?
Because you have a rookie instead of Najee Harris coming off 3,000-yard seasons. They're waiting on Caleb Johnson to catch up, and it happens. It's rookies take time.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you've talked about, obviously I'm not there, but you've talked about, Jaylen Warren just really not doing a whole ton.
Yeah, that's true too. Like, we haven't really even seen Jaylen Warren get more than a few carries. So, I mean, maybe we're overstating.
What about Gainwell in the run game? I mean, is he even really been much of running the ball?
Yeah,
or
he runs a little. I mean, I would say most of his work has been as a receiver, but he'll run the ball.
Okay. All right. Then obviously you got, the Trey Sermons of the world. We've talked about Lou Nichols as much as we probably can since he came on board. But appreciate that, Justin. Let's switch it up here and go completely stray away from the course for a second because Job has a question about food. Job Morrison of the site. I feel like we owe him one here. Made an appearance on the podcast, was great on here a couple weeks ago. He needs us to be the tiebreaker for a poll for what he's making tomorrow during the preseason game. Should he go with smoked wings or buffalo chicken sliders and queso?
You're not going to go wrong with smoked wings. You're never going to get me to say no to that. It's one of my favorite. Wings in general, I love, but smoked wings are probably my favorite way. Little dry rub on there. Yeah. You're not. I'm coming over. Forget covering the game.
Yeah, wings and football to me go hand in hand. So you're never gonna win that battle on the other side of that. To me.
Also, if you make way too many, that you reheat real easy. So like the next day, after you spend all day smoking, you don't want to cook again. Just pop some in the air fryer. Good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the buffalo chicken sliders and queso here, which I'm sure
that sounds good. It's just not. Yeah, it's just it's going up against a 1 seed here. It's just
it's going against Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson in the preseason game against the Jaguars. Basically, that passing attack.
Yeah,
is what smoked wings are doing tomorrow. I like Tyler's question here as well. Tyler Weeks of another podcast called Around the 412. Check that out if you've never watched or listened to it. I hear it's pretty good. Said, build your perfect cross-country road trip with 2 current Steelers and 1 all-time Steeler as your passengers.
2 current and 1 all-time. And we're going to cross-country road trip.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Ben Skoranek. I just think he's one of the most interesting guys on the team. If you're talking about like needing to cover like 20 hours of conversation, I think that man can do it. Another current Steeler. I'll take Pat Freiermuth so you don't have to fil like you have to.
I was not going to because I was like, that's too easy. Like,
well, I just think Pat's pretty easy to get. He's easygoing. You got 4 people in the car, And like, you need someone who's just gonna like look out the window and be happy he's there. Like someone's gonna go with the flow a little bit, right? Like, not everybody can have their own agenda. And Skowronek's a little esoteric. You don't want too much of that. You just want like a little bit of that, right? You want the guy who's like, yeah, man, in this town we got to go to this. Not like 4 of those people. You know what I mean? Like, all time. Do they have to be living? I don't like. Are we talking about right now?
So.
Or like, do I have a time
so.
machine?
I would say, I think it's just dead or alive.
See, like, I think Terry Bradshaw would be a lot of fun, but he might be a little too much. Man, all time. That's tough. I'll go with I got a wide receiver and a tight end. I probably need like another maybe like an offensive player. Or I don't want a lineman. 4 guys in a car, the last thing you want is a lineman. Probably, and I'm all, and I'm a big guy myself. So like we don't like Pouncey and those guys would be fun, but we gotta think logistically here. Let's go RC, Ryan Clark.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Ryan is another guy who's going to keep the conversation going. We all have lots to talk about.
I feel like yours are more actually about building it where they make sense all together.
Yeah, we're building a team here. Roster construction is key, man. Yeah. You can't, you gotta have the.
That's where I'm
not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right players.
That's where I may fall short. My all-time, my mind went to Frenchie because of the personality. However,
ooh, that's good. That's good.
I've literally, well, that's not who I'm picking, so I'm sorry. It would be good, but any Steeler all-time, if I could have a conversation with them, my number 1 would be Mel Blount. So that's who I have to have at the top of the list. This one makes no sense, and it would probably be boring, but there's probably no other way that I'm actually going to be able to have any time talking to him ever. Caleb Johnson. Like, this would probably be the only opportunity ever for me to have a conversation with him, based off just what I've heard and seen. And then the other one that I'm going to pick from the current roster, just because I pick him way too often, I'm not going to. But immediately, and I feel like my mind goes to him for every single question we get asked about the Steelers. My mind went to Nick Herbig, but I'm not going to pick him because I do it.
Nick Herbig and Calvin Austin are also very good choices here.
Yeah, they're slam dunks. So I'm not going to do it.
I feel like Pat, Herb, and Cal are just like, if your question is like, who's a happy Pittsburgh Steeler? Like, those are the like the go-to answers, right? Like, those guys have a smile on their face most of the time.
I want to get to know somebody that I know has, a lot of personality, which honestly could be a lot of guys within the secondary. But I'm going to pick Juan Thornhill just to learn a little bit more about him.
Man, just don't go to Ohio. Like, you just got you better make sure this car's pointed south. That's all I'm saying. Just do not take that man to Ohio. Like, you're not. It's not going to go.
Hey, can we make a little pit stop?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You better be driving to Miami, buddy.
All right, good stuff. Tyler is always the one that steers the conversation away from football, which I appreciate. We need those types of questions. Different Tyler Hurnley, also a very loyal member of the audience here. Want to know our thoughts about Tim Patrick, the wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. Isaac Tesla showing out in the preseason. They spent a 3rd-round pick on him. Actually traded up to get him. If he were to be the odd man out within that receiver room, should it be somebody the Steelers are interested in?
I mean, the thing that Isaac Tesla, by the way, I really liked at the Senior Bowl, bigger body guy, strong, tough. And when you think about what they have in Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, like, he's sort of everything those guys aren't, right? And Tim Patrick is that same way. I don't know that they're gonna want to just go all in on a 3rd-round rookie without a plan B. And their other receiver is Khalif Raymond, who is
and
not.
I think that's 5 right there that we just said. Like, to me, there's no reason to take Tim Patrick out of the equation.
If there was another guy, and they did draft Dominic Leavitt in like the 7th round, but I think he's like mostly a special teamer, kick returner type. Like if there was another guy that they wanted on the roster, then I think you could make the argument. But to me, that feels like 5, and I feel like Tim Patrick looks like an essential plan B for a 3rd-round rookie who's probably still figuring a lot out, coming from like a weird offense at Arkansas, and like, that's a team that's trying to lose people. Like, they want their depth.
Yeah. Jackson Meeks was the receiver that had that real long touchdown catch. I don't know if they think anything of him, but he had a 68-yard touchdown last week. I'm not sure if there's like the thought where maybe he like 6'2", 218. Maybe there's something there with him, but to me, I don't know. He's probably a practice squad guy for this year. So yeah, I think that Tim Patrick's still probably within their 5 that they're going to keep, assuming it's only if it's 6, certainly. But if it is 5, I think he's even still within that as well. MD said here, are we overlooking what a 2nd-year Payton Wilson could do for this defense along with the entire offseason, learning it and also the additions that they've put around him?
Yes. Whatever you think about Payton Wilson, you are probably overlooking how good he's going to be. He has been awesome and confident, borderline cocky, which is exactly what you want from a linebacker.
Yeah. Dude, it just, when I saw it, I was like, he just seems so different from when I saw him last year, just like the way he's carrying himself.
Yes. And
in a good way.
And his coverage ability, he's always fast, but I feel like his coverage ability is a lot more refined, especially in zone. There's a lot of times last year where you can kind of see him thinking on the tape, and you're not seeing that anymore. And I think not only do I think he's going to be really good, I think he's almost never going to come off the field. Do you want a bold prediction? As long as they're healthy, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., Patrick Queen, and Payton Wilson will all play over 90% of the Steelers' defensive snaps.
Okay. I like it. I remember, what was it like? Maybe going back to OTAs potentially when there started to be some talk about him being, a 3-down guy, and we had like an entire discussion on here about that. I mean, the door's open for it to happen for sure. Like, as much as I like the love a healthy Cole Holcomb in what he can do and everything like that. Yeah, I'm very excited about Payton Wilson. So I'm super intrigued by what he can do. And again, like, how does, in your opinion, him and Queen kind of play off of each other? Like, what's the difference with what those two guys do next to each other as opposed to, obviously when it was like E-Rob here last year, or if it's going to be a Harrison or whatever?
It's two of a kind. There isn't this strife or struggle with who's going to do what. You can give them the same assignment no matter what. Like, there's nobody that Patrick Queen, there's no job that Patrick Queen can do that Payton Wilson can't, and vice versa. And so it lets the defense be more multiple in terms of, from this look, how many things can we do? Right? Well, if you lined up last year with Landon Roberts over Isaiah Likely, the offense goes, well, that guy's rushing the passer. Because he sure wasn't carrying him down the field. Now, if you line up Payton Wilson over Isaiah Likely, you go, oh, well, which is it? And so I think for a long time, the Steelers' paradigm at linebacker was big guy, little guy, right? You wanted you had your Lawrence Timmons and your Larry Foote. You had your Vince Williams and your Ryan Shazier. I think they're got to a point where you have to be more balanced than that, and you have to be able to put two guys that can cover on the field all the time. They still have to be able to play the run too. It's not like you can just put somebody out there like Mark Barron, who converted safety, 235 pounds. Like, you got to be able to do all the parts of the job. But I think they're kind of getting away from that that mindset, and because of how it's limited them schematically over the last few years.
And I don't know. I mean, that's I'm very bullish on Payton Wilson, so we'll see what that growth looks like on the field this year. But my mind went to, and I'm not saying that he's going to be, or I think he is right now, the caliber of Roquan by any means like that. But obviously, that's where Patrick Queen was at his best. Do you think that there's a world where, Peyton kind of takes on that job and just lets Patrick kind of fly around and make plays, and maybe it's Peyton even wearing the green dot down the line to change roles?
I don't know. I don't think the Steelers are rushing that process. It's plausible. Mm-hmm. But I think there's definitely something about, I'm not saying Patrick Queen, I'm not blaming Landon Roberts for what was wrong with Patrick Queen,
right?
But I think you can point to Roquan Smith showing up in Baltimore as the time that Patrick Queen's play was the best. And I think Payton Wilson now, while obviously not as good as Roquan Smith, is a lot closer to that than what the Steelers had with Landon Roberts.
Sure. Absolutely. I'm just excited to watch it all play out. And that's, again, probably been an under talked about point just because of all the
100%. Yeah. I'll take the L on that one. Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
But we appreciate the question from ND, bringing it to our attention and giving us the opportunity to talk about it on here. Appreciate all the questions that we got today. Of course, Steelers at home tomorrow for the preseason game. Alan will be there. But Alan, until then, tell the people they can find you.
Hey, Saunders _PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now is the site's account, SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the words so I can get paid. Sign up for SN Plus. You get access to our members-only live stream, which I guess is going to happen next week or so. I don't know. We still haven't set a date for that, but we will, I promise. And we got to get DB because he was supposed to be here, and now he's not. Figure it out. And then subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. Anyone can do that. It's free. It helps us grow this channel and take this podcast to a bigger and bigger audience. And we are at 16,456. There's one obvious one there, and I'm trying to come up with another one. Well, obviously the current one. So,
yeah. And you talked about guys that rose to the occasion in divisional games and in the playoffs. Lamar Woodley, unreal. And he had a really nice stretch.
I'll go Mike Vrabel, current New England Patriots head coach, 56.
Yeah, I was going to go with one that, it's kind of unfortunate, everything that's happened, and, I wish him the best. But there's been some stuff post-playing career with Anthony Chickillo. But he certainly came to mind for me as well.
Yeah, there you go. 56. That was pretty recent. Going way back, Robin Cole was 56 in the 70s and early 80s.
Okay. Yeah. But honestly, the number is great. 450 new subscribers, Alan, in the last 28 days.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
love to see it. Appreciate everybody that's been a part of that number. Appreciate everybody that's been a part of just the overall number in general. Tell somebody to tell somebody. Steelers Afternoon Drive, the place to be Monday through Friday. So again, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, please be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe over there. I'll read the 5-star review on here. You can ask questions in there, all that good stuff. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok. Then you'll find me everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH. For Alan Saunders and myself, thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.